Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a very cool knife to talk about. This is the Sikorae, I believe it's called, from Gecko Customz Knifeworks. So Gecko Customz is run by Steven. He's a really good dude. I have hung out with him quite a few times at blade shows. We both were working with the same US OEM on a knife, and we both have done some business or whatever with Kaiser. So we've seen each other at the Kaiser dinners, at Blade Show, and around the show and whatnot. And funny thing, he didn't actually know that I had the Lefty channel. He just knew me as Kevin from Divo Knives. Even though we've talked a bunch, I guess it's just never come up. Well, his buddy let him know, and they offered to let me take this with me and review it after the show and pass it around. So I'm going to pass it around to my group, and yeah, this thing is phenomenal. It's really good. I mean, the best way to put it, and you know, I always like to compare knives to other knives. But I always have to preface it by saying I'm not trying to say that they're copying or anything, because everybody loves that for some reason. It's just how my brain works. I connect designs, right? And man, this one is, to me, like a slimmer, more streamlined Oz Roosevelt. You know, it's almost like, I didn't think of this till right now, but maybe if you took like a growler, which is one of our designs, has a lot of belly in it. If you took like a growler and an Oz machine Roosevelt and kind of put them in a compactor machine, that this might come out. And I absolutely love it. I mean, the full forward finger choil, the belt satin on this Magna Cut, the inlay is gorgeous. Bestech is the OEM on this, and they absolutely destroyed it. The clip is wonderful. It has contouring. It's nice and thin. It's just a really good all-around knife. And I think, you know, if you're really interested in the Roosevelt, or in the in the Rosie, but maybe you don't want to spend $7,000, $9,000, $1,000 on one, or try to get one, man, this would be an excellent alternative, and you'd be spending half the money. I'd say, you know, the one maybe minor downside on this knife is the price is it's higher than I expected it to be. Is that a problem? I don't think it's like, you know, it's like way too much or whatever. I think he priced it where he needed to price it. I know what it costs to get a knife like this made with Bestech, because we did it with the Stout V2. Ours is Van X, and this is Magna Cut. I think the Van X is a little bit more expensive, but I can totally understand where he got to this price point. The inlaid versions, this also comes in a toxic moss, which looks amazing. They're $405. I guess they were $425. They're $405 now. And then you can get a full tie version for $375. So I think it would probably sell better at like $350. You know, maybe like $325 for the plain tie, and then $350, $375 for the inlay versions. But again, that's like $25, $40 difference. It's not a big deal, but I like to be honest, and that's one thought I had when I saw the price. But again, it's Bestech OEM, and they're just expensive. You know, it's just kind of what it is. So this is the toxic moss. It looks really nice in person as well. Gorgeous green, neonish green, kind of moss color. And then you have the White Storm, and then you have the plain tie. Very, very nice. I really like this model. Here's some of the specs if you want to pause and read. Magna Cut, it's a drop point, belt satin, titanium, camo carbon, Depends on the model. Could be fat carbon. The White Storm is actually fat carbon, not camo carbon. So that's just a little typo or whatever. And then there's just a bead blast. Blade length is 3.04, 4.33 handle, 7.3 overall, 0.126 blade thickness, 0.45 handle thickness. That's excellent. Milled clip, tie hardware, bronze tie, pivot collar, blade grind is flat, and it has caged bearings. Now that's on the version I clicked on, I guess. This one obviously has a satin pivot collar. Yeah, I mean, the best thing I could say about this knife, or the best way I could lay out my thoughts, is if I were right-handed, I would 100% own this. I would be carrying the out of it. It would be one of my favorite knives. I can easily say that. It's got a hole for deployment that I absolutely love. It works really well for the reverse flick. You can thumb flick it or roll it, which is super easy. The detent is dialed perfectly. And it has a forward finger choil that I absolutely love. You guys know I love finger choils. I love belt satins. I like how it's sort of on an angle there. It just looks mean. I love it. The flat grind makes perfect sense on this knife, and it's pretty tall. This thing is a slicer. Look at that. 0.45 on the handle thickness. Excellent. Really nice milled clip. Internal weight or internal relief cut. That's a nice touch. You don't see a lot. The closing action, I mean, it doesn't really get any better than swing down and close. One of my favorite things to do with Steven's knives, I've handled this, and I've handled his Tokay, which is a US-made project he's working on. When you look at his knives, like in this orientation, just right down the barrel at that perfectly centered blade, I just love this angle. When you get a knife that has a beautiful outline from this angle, it just really, it just makes me feel good. I love it. But again, I am left-handed. So my test when I flick a right-handed knife at how good is it, right, for a lefty. Because unfortunately I'm left-handed and I do have to take that into consideration, right? So for example, I have the Prince Customz Protean. I recently did a disassembly. I love this knife as well. When I put my hand down, pick the knife up, and flick it, it fires out no problem at all because that clip, it's a little bit of a smaller knife, I think, and the clip is a little bit longer or placed differently. So in a natural grip, pick it up and rip it, I'm on the clip and I'm not putting pressure on the lock bar, right? Can I? Yes, I can sometimes screw up and I'm like on the lock bar, and then, but 90% of the time I pick it up and I'm right in a perfect grip to fire it. With this knife, I pick it up, my perfect spot is right here, and that spot is right on the lock bar. So unfortunately, I can't fire it out. I have to then readjust down to the clip and do that. Or what I usually do is just come up, make sure I'm up here, and try to get on the pivot and fire it. Now, if you're a lefty and you're fine making those adjustments, then it's great. It really is. I mean, I've actually enjoyed carrying it and using it mildly, but fidgeting with it and everything left-handed has been good. It's not that it doesn't work left-handed. It's just that I kind of, that's my live-by rule when it comes to buying knives for me, is I want to be able to just pick it up and rip it. And if I can't do that at least 90% of the time, it's just not going to be for me. But that's not to say that it doesn't work well left-handed, right? Especially if you like thumb flicking, then it's not a problem at all, right? So just a matter of your level of giving a shit when it comes to, you know, a right-handed frame lock, and if it bothers you at all. So is that a problem with the knife? No, I really don't take issue with the knife on that, or the design or anything, right? This is a perfectly logical design by Steven, and it's great, you know. For the 10% of us that are weirdos and are left-handed, you just got to make your own decision whether it works for you or not, right? It just doesn't work quite enough for me that I would want to drop the $400. If I was right-handed, I would drop $400 on this without blinking. You know, yeah, sure, I'd love for it to be $350 or $375, but I'm not gonna, you know, worry about that extra, you know, $25 or whatever. So, I love it. It's really, really good. The ergonomics are excellent. You're in that choil. I can get my full finger in there, no problem. And then, I mean, just in a really good grip like this. You can also come back here and get a full grip as well. He's got this flat here for your pinky. Excellent for that. No jimping, but doesn't need it. Feels great. Reverse grip feels good if you guys are weirdos and you do that. This grip, not so much, just because of the angles. But this grip is perfectly fine. You could probably even be even weirder and do one of these. But yeah, excellent in all of those. I love the little touches on this. I mean, you don't have a lock bar cut out, but you don't need it. It just works, you know? Sometimes knives just work without it. He's got these really nice chamfers on each side of the lock bar. Works excellently. I love how the blade is hidden from here and then back in here. Just got a really cool look to it that way. I think it's a very clean knife. Closed, like I said, it's one of my favorite angles on any knife. I love it on this one. It's really cool. It's almost odd not to see the relief cuts here, right? I mean, 90% of knives, I feel like they put the relief cut on the outside. You know, still not sure why that's always the case, but whenever I see one where it's internal, I feel like it's a nice little touch that people add. I like the oversized pivot with the collar. Looks excellent. You're probably going to be rocking 5mm 1/16 bearings. I can't confirm because it's not mine. I'm not going to take it apart, but that's my guess. It's really well done. And it just has really good thoughtfulness when it comes to the design, even though it's sort of on the simple side, and I mean that in the best possible way. It doesn't have a bunch of shit going on, right? It's got those little things all kind of taken care of. All the edges are chamfered perfectly. They all look really nice. He's definitely got his own unique look, and I really like it. So that is the Gecko Customz Sikorae. Be curious to hear what you guys think on this one. I think he crushed it. And you know what? I think this one really, it draws a line in a really good place where it's a very, very good EDC user, right? Like this would be a great knife to have on you to do many, many tasks, right? But at the same time, it's also gorgeous. And it has that premium look with these really nicely done inlays, that belt satin, the pivot collars, right? It's got that premium look as well. So it kind of hits both marks for me, where like, just as an example, since I have it out, this one, the Prince Protean, I love it. But it definitely feels more like a premium knife that you're going to carry. And most likely, if you have another knife in your pocket, like today, I had this Kaiser mini grouper in my pocket. If I came across a task I had to do, I would pull this out and use it instead of this. So I could save this blade. You know, I could potentially avoid damaging it in some way if I screwed up or whatever, right? But with this, I feel like I'd have no qualms about cutting a bunch of shit with it, cleaning off the blade, and then it's also a showpiece, you know? It's one of those that draws double duty. I feel like the Jaeger is one of those as well. that draws double duty. I think the stout does. Our knife, the stout, is one of those that works in both capacities as well. Not quite expensive enough to be like, you know, and that could be case by case, but anyway, I love it. They killed it. Check it out. If you haven't seen it before, I highly recommend it. If you have the money to spend, I think it's well worth it for sure. That is the Gecko Customz Sikorae. Big thank you to Steven for letting me check this out. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the pass around and see what everybody else thinks. But I'm a big fan, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And when that U.S. custom or mid-tech or whatever you want to call it comes out, I'm definitely going to be excited about that as well. And if he ever does a run of these in Lefty, I will immediately pick one up, or a liner lock or something. I'll pick one up. So there it is. Love you guys. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.